Hi, this is Ben from grassroots.org. Last week I recorded 3 interviews with grassroots.org members, 2 of which were unable to record my audio. So I'm doing a brief introduction to those 2 videos. In the second of the 2, I speak with Sean Gorley from Military with PTSD. Her organization is competing in the Global Giving Open Challenge, which is a 1-month sprint to raise $5,000 from at least 40 unique donors. That open challenge is wrapping up and will be over by midnight tonight. So if you're interested in donating, you must act quickly. I'll leave a link both in the annotation in this video and in the description below. Before we go into the video, since you're unable to hear my audio, I'm going to leave you with what impressed me most, and that's the impact her organization has nationwide. I explained it in the video to Sean as if grassroots were a smaller wave coming into her much larger wave. So enjoy the video.
It's kind of a funny story how it started. I was trying at the time to work from home. I wanted to start a spouses group because living with my husband with post-traumatic stress disorder, I mean, it was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. And so I started military with PTSD. I was writing my book, The War at Home, One Family's Fight Against PTSD. I wanted to give it out free to spouses. And I also kind of wanted to utilize that as a way to teach people, the spouses, to work from home. It didn't take 2 weeks for me to realize that having just a spouse group wasn't working. No one was learning anything. So we opened it up to veterans, and it has just turned into something bigger than any of us, I think, ever could imagine. So it's really, I kind of fell into it, but it's my love, it's my heart now. So sure, PTSD goes, you can trace its history all the way back to the Spartan Wars, really. In the Civil War, it was called Soldier's Heart. It was shell shock in World War I, battle fatigue in World War II. It was only most recently, actually in 1980, when it became post-traumatic stress disorder. So it basically, post-traumatic stress disorder is a new name for something that's been around for thousands of years. There's actually quite a bit. Coming home from the military is a different kind of set of rules anyway. They're very strict on the way of life. You know, for these guys to come home, they don't have any real training. Their skills that they learned in the military, one of the things that we hear repeatedly is they aren't transferring over to civilian life now. Employers aren't real big on looking at that and trying to figure out how all of their training will work for them. So that's something that they struggle with a lot. The lack of understanding about post-traumatic stress disorder is enormous. A lot of people have heard PTSD because it seems like, especially in the last few years, it's become almost a buzzword. But they don't really know what that means. And post-traumatic stress disorder, it's an anxiety disorder, kind of to explain it in a way that most people would understand. But it's so much more than that. It's just generalized as an anxiety disorder. You've got severe flashbacks, sound, sight, smells. Anything can trigger you into a state of you don't know where you're at. You're flashing back to sometime at war, something that happened, a friend died, helicopter flying over can trigger an event just out of nowhere just by hearing it. And a lot of times the guys don't even know why themselves. So it gets very difficult. Then on the flip side of the coin, the spouses, the military has not, up until recently, been very good about training the spouses for what to expect. I mean, they'd always have these little pamphlets and stuff, and I remember getting it, and I read through it, and I was like, oh, okay. But it never applied to what was really happening in our home. So I never thought it was PTSD because here they gave me this pamphlet, and they said, you know, if it's this, this, and this, it may be PTSD. Well, what my husband was doing didn't fit into any of it. So it took us 5 years from the time he came home until he got help because we had no clue. Now they're doing a much better job at training the spouses, educating them, and letting them know what really can happen. Seeing it from both sides. Yes, it is education. Our Facebook program, we call it Seeing It from Both Sides. It's kind of a unique approach because not a lot of people, especially nonprofits, they'll either they'll help the vets or they'll help the spouses. We've combined them all in one area, and it's all peer-to-peer. What we do is we educate each person, both sides, our motto is seeing it from both sides, on what the vet thinks and feels, what the spouse is thinking and feeling, and we give them that understanding of their perceptions and what's going on in their mind, and why they're struggling with this and what they're thinking, their thought process, things like that, and it really is helping marriages. No, all of it, everything happens online. Yeah, it's all online. We will start at one point, we're looking at expanding into some local chapters and running some actual support groups. But right now, everything that we do is 100% online. We are nationwide. We've got almost 100,000 people right now. Sure. The easiest way to describe it, I would think, that people would understand is, let's say that when you get scared, you see something out of the corner of your eye, you don't know what it is, a snake or a stick, as you're walking by, you immediately jump and react without even thinking about it, okay? That is the same thing a veteran does, but it's all the time in their life. Any sound, fireworks, the smell of sulfur burning, somebody screaming, things like that will make them immediately react just like that, but it's almost with everything. It's a constant that goes on. Those are what we call triggers. An event that triggers them to react in some way. Oh, yeah, there can be many, many triggers. War movies can trigger events. Sometimes getting a phone call. The phone we have found, has really became a problem for these guys, and it's associated with them, getting bad news or finding out somebody, they're under attack, we got to move, something like that. When they come home, they're not wanting to answer the phone rings and they almost panic. And it's something that you have to kind of work through with them. Fireworks is probably one of the best known triggers there are. The big fireworks shows don't seem to bother the veterans as much because I think they know that they're coming. It's the ones that when they're at home, they're sitting on the couch watching TV, hanging out with their family, and all of a sudden out of nowhere you get this boom, and they're grabbing their family, their kids, and they're all on the ground, and the family's going, it was just a firework, Dad, and Dad's going, we're under attack, and he's throwing them on the ground and everything, and you laugh, and I laugh, because, it is kind of humorous to think about, but imagine doing this every year for days, for a week at a time, while people are setting off fireworks just nonstop, all hours of the days and nights. I mean, it becomes a point where these guys are starting to leave homes. Like, we go camping every year just to avoid being around the fireworks. Okay, June 1st of 2014, John Dykes, he's an Army veteran, posted a picture on our page of him standing behind a sign that he had made that read, combat veteran lives here, please be courteous with fireworks. I asked him, can I share this? This is great. He was sharing how he was planning on dealing with the fireworks for this year. I thought it was a great idea, so we posted it to the page at like 1:39 p.m. on July 1st. Within 24 hours, we already had 100,000 shares. We were on USA Today. Within the entire week, pretty much, military PTSD and John Dykes were nationwide all over the news. And it was one of the biggest education movements they had seen in fireworks. I mean, even the National Center for PTSD credited us with doing a phenomenal job for raising awareness on this subject, because it's not something that you see very often. And this thing went viral. We've got over 12 million views. We've got over 300,000 shares now. It really caught all of us by surprise. We weren't expecting it to go that big, but we're glad that it did, because it really brought awareness. And there were so many people asking for these signs. Even though we've got a huge social media presence, we're pretty much a new nonprofit. And there are so many people wanting signs, we just can't put the bill on it on our own. And this is something, these signs can be used over and over and over again for these vets. So it's not, just a one-time thing that they get to sign and never use it again. They can use it anytime they need it. And that's whenever we decided, we need to get these signs to these guys, because a lot of them are waiting on disability, things like that, they don't have the money to make them themselves. So that's what we're here trying to do, is get these signs printed up and into any veteran's hand that needs them for free. It was back and forth. I contacted John within the first 6 hours, and I told him, I said, you know, a lot of people don't understand this, so don't take it personally. And he was very cool with it. He said, oh, I'm not. You know, I was pretty proud of the way that he handled the positive and the negative criticism, because there was a lot of negative, but there was also a lot of positive. So the negatives, I think, came mainly from misunderstandings, people not realizing that he wasn't asking people to give up setting off fireworks. And I think that was part of what kind of helped it go viral, unfortunately, was there was some confusion, because here you've got a veteran who, you know, veterans, they fight for your rights to stay free, to set off those fireworks, and now is he asking us to stop setting them off? What exactly is he saying here? And so we spent a lot of those days explaining to people, no, we're not saying, you know, you can't set off fireworks. That is your right. You are in a free country. We don't want to stop it. All we're asking is that you give the veterans in your community a heads up. You know, hey, I'm going to be setting off fireworks. And a lot of the veterans started coming on and saying, hey, you know, if somebody would give me a heads up, I'd go out there and set them off with them. It's all about the not knowing. If they know they're coming, they'll go out and set them off, and they're fine. They are fine with it, and they'll have fun with them. But it's just, it was kind of a, I think it took everybody, shocked everybody at first, because nobody really knew what was going on. And so we spent a lot of time explaining it, and it really did good. Unfortunately, this is one of those things that it depends on how many we print. You know, if we only print, let's say, 1,500 versus 2,500, the price changed, but it's anywhere from about $4 to $7 per sign. Obviously, the more we order, the cheaper it gets. You know, but they're $4.75 is what we priced it out. That includes the shipping and everything to the veteran and everything. So, yeah, and that was important to me, because it just throwing a number up there, people are going, okay, how many people are we really helping? What is my money going to? And that's why it was really important for us to split it up, to let you know exactly, you know, for this amount, this is how many signs you're going to get to a veteran. For this amount, this is how much you're going to get. And that way they know that they're helping a minimum of 2 veterans, if not more.